It was a stormy afternoon when the crowd gathered at Miracle Hand Ministries. Dark clouds churned overhead, and sharp gusts of wind whipped through the open doors, scattering flyers and umbrellas. Rain pattered against the zinc roofs, heavy and relentless, as though the heavens themselves were warning those below. Amid the chaos, Prophetess Zaruma, popularly known as Madam Miracle Hand, stood at the altar. She was known far and wide for her miracles that drew desperate crowds from distant towns and villages. People said her hands carried unusual power, sickness fled at her touch, and destinies were changed with a single gesture. And she saw it all. With a single gaze, she could reveal secrets that no one else could ever know, secrets buried deep in the heart, even those the owner had tried to hide. People trembled in her presence, part in awe, part in fear. But today, something unsettling hung in the air. Suddenly, a scream tore through the hall. A madman ran forward, pointing at Madam Miracle Hand, shouting, "Free me! Free me!" Ushers sprang into action, gripping him tightly and dragging him out of the church. His wild eyes scanned the congregation, searching for something or someone. And Madam Miracle Hand. She did not flinch. She did not speak. She simply continued her sermon, her voice steady and commanding, and the congregation's attention returned to her as if nothing had happened. Yet Elizabeth, a quiet newcomer who had just moved into an apartment near the church and decided to attend the program, felt a chill crawl down her spine. She noticed something wrong, a look, a pause, a subtle motion that did not belong. Her chest tightened. Her palms sweated. Before the final shout of praise faded, Elizabeth stood up. She knew she had to leave. Before she was Madam Miracle Hand, she was just Zaruma, a girl who knew how to sing before she could even walk properly. Her voice carried the kind of purity that made people stop and listen, even in the small village where she grew up. She attended church diligently, never missing a Sunday service, and her teachers and neighbors praised her as a well-behaved child. Her life seemed ordinary, even blessed, until she went to university. There, everything changed. She met a friend who seemed charming, worldly, and mysterious. This friend introduced her to a world Zaruma had never imagined, a world hidden in shadows, where power, influence, and secrets were traded like currency. She was curious, reckless, and eager to belong. One night, she was invited to a private gathering. It was no ordinary party. The doors closed behind her, and the room pulsed with a strange energy. Around her sat prominent figures, businessmen, politicians, pastors' faces she recognized but never expected to see here. At the center stood the leader, a figure cloaked in darkness, commanding the room with a presence that made even the powerful fall silent. He spoke directly to Zaruma. "You have a gift. A light they will follow. But light alone is useless without darkness. We will teach you. You will walk both paths. Go forth, build your ministry, and bring people, glory, to the marine world." She didn't fully understand the meaning then, but she nodded, eager, trusting, and a little afraid. It was initiation. And it changed her forever. From that day, Zaruma carried a secret. Beneath the miracle-working, charming exterior, she was something else entirely. She could shift, turn into a creature beyond human comprehension, half human, half something indescribable. Her eyes could burn with fire no one could see, her presence could burn fear and devotion alike. To the world, she was Madam Miracle Hand, healer of bodies, savior of souls, a miracle worker. But behind the light, behind the prayers and smiles, she was a dragon cloaked in human skin, walking among the unsuspecting, waiting to feed on the devotion, the fear, and the secrets of those who came too close. And she thrived there. Madam Miracle Hand had a new way to extend her power beyond the altar. It was subtle, clever, and deadly in its effectiveness. She began giving out white handkerchiefs to her members during services. They were soft, pristine, and folded with care. When she handed one to a congregation member, she would look them in the eye and say, "This is a miracle handkerchief. Keep it with you at all times. It brings blessings, protects you from harm, and guides your steps. Wherever you go, good fortune will follow." People clutched them with trembling hands. They whispered prayers, pressed them to their hearts, and some even wept in gratitude. They believed it carried a direct connection to God, a blessing that would protect them from misfortune. What they did not know was far more sinister. Behind her calm smile and soothing voice, Madam Miracle Hand had another plan. The handkerchiefs were not just talismans, they were tools. Through them, she could watch the lives of her followers, see their actions, their movements, their secrets. Every purchase they made, every lie they told, every betrayal or doubt, they were visible to her. And she could use this knowledge to control her members. Elizabeth watched all this from the back of the hall, uneasy. She noticed how tightly the congregation clutched their handkerchiefs, almost worshipping them as they whispered silent thanks. And she realized something chilling. The miracles were a show, but the control was real. Madam Miracle Hand smiled again, her eyes glinting just enough for Elizabeth to notice. She was a dragon cloaked in human skin. And now, she had tentacles in every home, every heart, every secret. The hall was quiet that Sunday. Madam Miracle Hand's gaze swept across the room, her white gown shimmering in the soft light. Her eyes stopped on a woman seated near the front, clutching a handkerchief nervously. "Child of God, come forward," she said softly, yet with an authority that made the woman rise immediately, trembling. As she walked toward the altar, the hall fell into a reverent hush. Everyone knew that when Madam Miracle Hand singled someone out, the moment could change their life forever. The prophetess fixed her gaze on the woman and spoke, her voice calm, measured, yet carrying an edge that sent a shiver down the spine. "I saw you last night, crying yourself to sleep, begging for the fruit of the womb. And I saw further, back when you were 16, you took a pregnant woman's money." She cried bitterly that day and cursed the one who stole from her. "That curse, it has followed you. That is why you have been unable to conceive." The woman froze, her mouth opening slightly. Tears welled in her eyes. Yes, it's true," she whispered, her voice shaking. Gasps rippled through the congregation. Some clutched their chests, others whispered prayers. The woman sank to her knees, pressing her handkerchief to her chest as though it could shield her from the weight of the revelation. Elizabeth's stomach turned. She recognized the precision, the fear, the awe in the woman's eyes. Whatever Madam Miracle Hand was doing, it was convincing enough that even the most private, shameful secrets could be exposed and the congregation would see it as divine truth. Madam Miracle Hand smiled softly, serene and radiant, her true nature hidden beneath the mask of holiness. One by one, the congregation praised her, unaware that their faith had been subtly bound by fear, awe, and secrets they didn't even know they had. By day, she was Madam Miracle Hand, smiling, soft-spoken, miraculous. But the truth was far darker. When the lights went down, when the congregation was gone, Zaruma's true nature emerged. She could shift forms at will, her body twisting into creatures that were impossible, terrifying, yet strangely beautiful. Sometimes she became a serpentine dragon, scales glinting like blackened steel, eyes glowing with a fire that no human could bear. Other times, she took forms half human, half beast, moving with speed and grace that defied logic. Through these forms, she moved unseen among her followers. The white handkerchiefs, blessed as they seemed, were her eyes and ears. She could sense their thoughts, their fears, their hopes, and their glory, the essence of their talents, successes, and achievements. Every secret, every skill, every ounce of pride or recognition that people earned could be drawn from them, absorbed into her world, the marine world, a shadowy dimension beneath her church where power and energy gathered like a tide. There, their glory fueled her strength, her miracles, and her ability to bend the faithful to her will. To the congregation, miracles appeared as gifts, healed bodies, answered prayers, sudden success, or blessings. But the cost was unseen. Every prayer, every hope, every devotion offered to her became a tributary of energy, flowing from the worshippers into her hidden marine world, making her stronger while leaving them dependent and bound. Elizabeth had begun to notice the pattern. Those who carried the handkerchiefs faithfully often prospered, but slowly, subtly, they became more attached to Madam Miracle Hand than to their own lives. Their confidence, their talents, their very joy seemed to seep into her presence, leaving them hollow and odd. And the transformations were not just physical, they were ritualistic. Zaruma's voice could shift reality. She could make her human form glow with divine light, or stretch her shadow across the hall like a living hand, pressing fear and devotion into the hearts of her followers. Every creature she became served a purpose, whether to watch, strike fear, or to steal the gifts and glory of her followers to feed her dark power. She was a predator cloaked in holiness, a dragon feeding on faith, devotion, and hidden ambitions. And the marine world beneath her ministry was growing stronger with every secret, every whispered prayer, every miracle witnessed. Outside, the night was quiet. But inside, Madam Miracle Hand was already everywhere. Watching, shifting, and feeding, her power stretching far beyond the mortal eyes of her congregation. Elizabeth's curiosity had grown too strong to ignore. She attended every service, observed every miracle, and even joined the ushers to get closer to Madam Miracle Hand. She smiled, helped, and appeared obedient, but her mind was always searching for the truth. One evening, after the congregation had left, Elizabeth quietly entered Madam Miracle Hand's office. She searched drawers, cupboards, and shelves but found nothing unusual. Nothing explained the miracles or the secrets whispered in the congregation. Then she noticed it, a small door at the far end of the office, always locked. The handle gleamed under the dim light, and a faint draft escaped from beneath it. Elizabeth pressed her ear to the door. Silence. No movement, no voices. But it felt alive, watching her as much as she was watching it. She tried the handle. Locked. She pressed her shoulder against it. Locked. Her heart raced. Whatever was behind that door, she knew it held the answers she had been searching for. And she would return, no matter the risk. Meanwhile, Madam Miracle Hand had begun to notice Elizabeth. Unlike the others, she did not follow blindly. She never collected the white handkerchiefs, never drank from the water Madam Miracle Hand blessed, and never allowed her head to be touched during the prayers. At first, the prophetess had smiled, observing quietly. But soon, suspicion grew. There was something about Elizabeth that could not be read, something that refused to bend. She watched Elizabeth closely, though the girl remained unaware. Every movement, every glance, every whispered curiosity was noted. Madam Miracle Hand was monitoring her, studying her patterns, anticipating her next step. Elizabeth thought she was sneaking and observing unnoticed, but to Madam Miracle Hand, every subtlety had meaning. Every small act of defiance was a thread in a tapestry the prophetess was weaving, one that could either expose Elizabeth or draw her closer into the fold. In the silence of her office, Madam Miracle Hand smiled faintly. She did not need to confront Elizabeth yet. She just needed to watch, wait, and guide. The game had begun. Elizabeth waited until the church was silent, the last of the congregation gone and Madam Miracle Hand's footsteps fading away. Her heart pounded in her chest as she slipped through the empty hall, moving directly toward the locked room at the far end of the office. She knelt in front of the door, pulling the small knife from her pocket. Carefully, she began to work the lock, sliding the blade into the mechanism. But the door refused to budge. She tried again, wiggling the knife, pressing harder, but it was as if the lock had a mind of its own, resisting her every attempt. Minutes passed. Her palms were sweating, her breath coming in shallow gasps. Each creak of the floor under her knees made her jump. She wondered if Madam Miracle Hand had returned early, or worse, if the door itself was somehow alive, holding her back. Elizabeth gritted her teeth. She could not give up now. She pressed with all her strength, twisting the knife just right, muttering under her breath. The lock gave a reluctant click, and for a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then, slowly, impossibly, the door creaked open, inch by inch, as if it had been waiting for her to prove herself. Elizabeth's heart skipped. The room lay before her, dark and silent, holding secrets that had never been seen by mortal eyes. She swallowed hard, steeling herself. Whatever was inside, she knew this moment would change everything. Elizabeth stepped into the room, holding her breath. Darkness swallowed everything. For a moment, relief washed over her. Nothing unusual, nothing supernatural, just shadows and silence. She pulled out her phone and tapped the screen. Lights flooded the room, illuminating corners that seemed empty, until she saw it. A figure was standing there. Still. Silent. Watching. Elizabeth screamed. Her phone slipped from her trembling hands, the light wobbling across the walls. It was Madam Miracle Hand herself, staring back at her with eyes that seemed to pierce into her very soul. Her calm smile was gone, replaced by something cold, predatory, and almost inhuman. Elizabeth turned and ran, but the door slammed shut behind her. Locked. Her hands pounded on it, desperate, screaming for it to open. But it would not budge. Fear gripped her. She fumbled for her phone, pressing every button, her light shaking, trying to find something, anything to help her. Madam Miracle Hand took a step forward. Her presence filled the room. A laugh, soft and chilling, echoed around Elizabeth, bouncing off the walls. "You want to know the secret?" Madam Miracle Hand whispered, her voice low, venomous, yet intoxicating. "You have stepped into where you must not." Elizabeth froze, her chest tightening, the light from her phone flickering across Madam Miracle Hand's eyes. Eyes that burned with a fire she had never seen before. The shadows in the room seemed to lean closer, whispering, "Alive." And Elizabeth realized, with bone-deep terror, that she had crossed a line she could never uncross. Elizabeth stumbled backward as Madam Miracle Hand stepped closer. Then, impossibly, her body began to shift and twist. First, her skin shimmered like molten silver, scales appearing along her arms. Her eyes glowed red, like coals burning in the dark. Her limbs elongated, bending in impossible ways. She laughed softly, a sound that echoed like a chorus of shadows. "Do you see now, child?" she hissed. "Do you see what I am?" Her form changed again. This time, a creature half human, half serpent, coiled slithering across the floor as her head remained eerily human, smiling with unnatural grace. Then she became a towering dragon, wings folding and unfolding in the darkness, claws scraping the floor as fire danced in her eyes. Elizabeth fell to her knees, her phone trembling in her hands, light flickering across the monstrous forms. Madam Miracle Hand's voice echoed, calm and terrifying. "I take the glory of my followers. Their talents, their pride, their victories. Everything they have achieved flows to me and to the marine world. And they do not know it. They are in bondage. They serve me, and they will serve the marine kingdom, forever." She stepped closer, her serpentine tail coiling around the chair, her human eyes locking on Elizabeth. "Every soul that enters my church, drinks my water, uses the handkerchiefs, allows me to lay my hands on them, becomes part of my ritual. At first, their lives change for the good. They succeed. They prosper. They praise me. They feel blessed. But slowly, their souls are trapped. Calamity begins to follow. Misfortune. Sickness. Betrayal. Misery hidden behind smiles. And I watch, I feed, I grow stronger, while they lose themselves." Elizabeth's hands shook. She could feel the weight of truth pressing down on her. You think miracles are gifts? Madam Miracle Hand laughed, her voice like silk and steel. No. They are chains. Every miracle, every healing, every blessing is another link. Every life changed, another soul bound. They are mine and the marine words. Forever. Her body shimmered again, shifting into a creature Elizabeth could barely comprehend: wings, claws, scales, and fire dancing across her skin. She moved with unnatural speed, circling Elizabeth like a predator playing with its prey. Elizabeth realized, with a chill that froze her blood, that everything in Miracle Hand Ministries, the miracles, the devotion, the faith, was a trap. And she had stepped into it. Madam Miracle Hand smiled, her human face returning, eyes glinting. Madam Miracle Hand's smile widened, slow and cruel. Now you have uncovered the truth, she said softly. No one knows the truth and stays alive. She circled Elizabeth like a hunter savoring its prey. But I will not waste you, she continued, her voice dripping with wicked delight. I will cook you, eat you, and feed what remains to my followers. Her laughter exploded through the room, loud, sharp, and inhuman. As she stretched out her hands, a violent force shot through the air. Elizabeth was slammed to the ground, invisible energy wrapping around her like chains. She could not move. She could not scream. Even her breath felt stolen. Elizabeth's eyes filled with tears. But what neither of them knew was this. In her panic, as Elizabeth desperately pressed her phone, her trembling fingers had activated a live broadcast. The screen, forgotten on the floor, was streaming everything. The transformations. The confession. The truth about the handkerchiefs, the bondage, the stolen souls. The world was watching. Madam Miracle Hand turned away, satisfied, believing her secret was still safe. She left Elizabeth bound in the dark room and disappeared into the night. Minutes later, the silence shattered. Sirens. Voices. Lights flooding the room. The door burst open. Elizabeth was rescued. And Madam Miracle Hand, once feared, once worshipped, was arrested, her false miracles exposed, her dark ministry destroyed by the truth she thought would never escape. For the first time, the chains were broken. And the world finally saw what had been hiding behind the miracles. The world had seen Madam Miracle Hand's lies exposed, but the marine kingdom she had served would not allow their secrets to be revealed. They moved silently, unseen, beyond mortal eyes. That night, in her prison cell, a sudden pain exploded in her chest. She clutched herself in horror. The marine kingdom's dark force had come not for the congregation, not for the innocent, but for her alone. She vomited blood, her screams echoing through the empty cell, yet no one came to save her. All her power, all her manipulation, meant nothing. In moments, her heart was torn from her body. She fell lifeless, her ambition ended, her soul claimed by the forces she had once served. The marine kingdom vanished as quietly as they had come. The other members of the marine dark power remained untouched, their devotion and secrets intact. But Madam Miracle Hand's fate became a warning that would echo for generations. Do not be deceived by false prophets, or by churches whose teachings do not follow the Bible. The devil may bless you for a time, granting miracles, success, or favor, but it is only deceit, a loan that you must one day repay. And when he comes to collect, it is in full measure, 100-fold, bringing calamity, misfortune, and ruin. True faith comes only from God, not from handkerchiefs, water, or secret powers. People would tell this story to their children, a warning that greed, deception, and blind devotion carry a price, and that seeking miracles outside of God's word can lead only to destruction.